couple of different reviews. We've obviously had the coaches together, and then the players. Then we just spoke about obviously the weekend. Really following up from Nixie's comments the other day, there's a lot of things that we do well. At times we haven't been able to just stem the flow when opposition have got a little bit of a run on. Having said that as well, when we've had our momentum up too, we haven't finished. So there's certainly opportunities for us to finish our work and maybe giving us a bit more of a buffer or a bit more of a lead via our opposition as well.
How do you, without giving away too many trade secrets, how do you stop flowing situations like the second term?
There's such a combination. Some of it could be our ball use. Some of our defensive efforts maybe not quite up to scratch. Beaten around the ball, defenders beaten 1v1, forwards beaten 1v1. So there's so many areas that we need to just tick the box to get right. And what you have is when you've got a team with not a great deal of shared experience, we need some really strong leaders to stand up in those points in time to help them out. And we're looking for those leaders underneath, those young fellas who have been around for 2 to 3 to 4 years now, who know how we want to play, who know how the game should be played in those scenarios, and really come over the top sometimes and use their voice. So it's a journey we're on. Whilst we're not happy with it, we think there's a fair bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and we'll come out the other end of it.
Scott, just going back to Rory, sorry, is it a chance to play this weekend?
Well, he may be, yeah. Look, we're not sure yet, so just probably don't write a headline yet, because we're still trying to find out. But at this stage, there may be a bit of a possibility, or it could be a bit more longer term than what we think.
So the doctor makes the call, yeah, surgery, probably out for the year, similar to Lockie Valance. If he does play, is there a danger of making it worse?
I would think if he plays, no. We wouldn't take that risk. I mean, the doctor, the surgeon, and Rory will get together and decide what's best moving forward. Yeah.
What are you expecting out of Brisbane this week?
Oh, they've been terrific, haven't they? I think everyone's been pretty impressed. I mean, from an Adelaide point of view, when we saw what they did against Port Adelaide, and on the weekend they were sensational. They've obviously got huge talent in their team. We know that. They've got some great players over the last 3-4 years to go to their club, A-grade talent. But what I've been impressed with mainly is just their hardness around the ball and their competitiveness. They've been terrific in terms of their contest, midfield, forward, back. Doesn't matter where it is. They've got some strong boys in their team, and they'll certainly test us, and it's going to be a great challenge for us.
Danaher, I mean, obviously there are key forwards all around the league that cause trouble, but they too that probably coaches mostly tonight.
Yeah, there's a few around. I think even West Coast, Kennedy and Darling go pretty well as well, don't they? And you got Hawkins and Cameron. It just seems to be those teams up the top have at least a couple. Look, there's no doubt Danaher helps Hipwood a lot. Being taking that number 1 defender, Hipwood's had a very good year. I think McStay's been a terrific player for them over the last 2 or 3 years as well. There's a little fella called Charlie Cameron that goes okay too when the ball gets to ground, and just the improvement of Bailey's and McCarthy's as well. They've on top of that, you've got Zorko and Hill that might float forward at times. So that's what happens when you've got the top 2 or the top 4 teams. They've got good players on every line and A-grade talent. So like I said, it's going to be a huge challenge. We know that no matter where we're playing, back, forward or midfield, there's boys that we're going to come up against, and the senior players will love it because they love that challenge, and the younger boys are going to know they're playing the best in the comp. So it's a really good test for us to see where we're at.
Training on skills at times on the weekend, especially coming out of the midfield. There are a few areas which I know that you wouldn't be too pleased to see.
Yeah, there's no doubt. The more you can, obviously, you work so hard to get the ball in your hands, you just don't want to give it back. So there's 2 scenarios with ball in hand. You want to hit your teammate, but you also don't want to leave the ball in a position where we can be hurt the other way. So there's a combination, and we're just going through a lot of that at the moment. I mean, Nixie's brought a game plan in over the last year and a half. We've got senior players that have probably played under a different game plan, and then we've got younger players who are just learning the caper too. So, like I said before, when I say about shared experience, it's just a matter of the boys playing as much footy as they can together, and having a solid coaching group that can be around these boys for 3 or 4 years too. So the message is very similar.
How does it balance out for blokes like Rory or Tees who are getting that much of the footy that maybe it's just not an option for them all the time? Is there a bit of that aspect to it, whether the turnover coming out of their hands, I suppose?
Well, every situation's different. There'll be times we should have hit something and we miss. There'll be times when you're under extreme heat and pressure, you just need to get it forward. and there's going to be times when, say, forwards might be outnumbered. They've just got to hold up for long enough until the rest of the troops arrive to help support. So there's a huge combination with just in terms of when you look at skills. It's hard to be a fantastic ball user when maybe your teammates aren't in the best position to receive, and that goes for every line as well. Defenders not being in the right positions, mids or forwards, but at this stage I'd say generally we're doing most things right. There's just that little bit of polish at the end. We're not quite getting there at this stage.
Does Brisbane provide your group with a picture of what it could be like in 2 or 3 years with some more work because of where they've come from and how they started?
There's no doubt. I mean, over the journey, there's always those teams that have been down and out. It's going back a little bit now. It's when Yo and Doherty and those boys left Brisbane. I'm not sure how long ago that was, 5-6 years, but so they've gone through a real transition period. They had a couple of years where they were down the bottom. I think Fagan's first 2 years, I'm not sure what positions, but they spiked pretty quickly that 3rd or 4th year, and you could see it before they did spike though. You could see it. You could see their competitiveness. You could see they weren't too far away. They had a lot of close losses in that year. So I guess when you're at a club that's developing, that's being down, you've got some strong senior players, but you certainly got some talent underneath in youthful talent. You do look at what other clubs have done and how they've progressed, and you would certainly be hoping where Brisbane are at the moment. You would certainly be hoping that we could follow suit.
5 wins have come against higher ranked teams, obviously Melbourne and Geelong, and losses to the teams obviously around you, open up below you. What is it about the better teams that's brought out the best side of the Crows this year?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That you're going back a long way now, aren't you, to round one? But it was a good win.
The Melbourne game?
Yeah, the Melbourne game was a terrific effort as well to get them over here. I just think our inconsistencies at the moment is probably where we're at. We just, at the moment, we're still trying to put a brand of footy together that will hold up in big games, and it has held up against some quality teams. But we also need it to hold up for 4 quarters, and we haven't quite been consistent in that area.
Obviously, Jordan Butt's been a chance to play on a field or one of those big boys that we mentioned before. How have you seen his development in the first year at the club?
Oh, look, Jordan Butts has been it's been a fantastic result for us, and credit to Jordan more than any other coaches or anyone who's probably developed him over the last 2 or 3 years. He's a self-driven athlete, hugely competitive, really enjoying the roles and embracing the roles he gets. He does a lot of study. He'll be watching his opposition players midweek onwards, seeing their strengths and weaknesses. So it's full credit to someone who's self-driven and wants to be the best they can be.
Have you got any interest in or put your hand forward for the Collingwood job?
They'll go through the process they'll go through at this point in time. I think they're still probably looking at what they want to do, to tell you the truth. So it's like I've said before, I'm really happy being at this football club. I want to see it out. I love and I hope the supporters do too, and certainly the general public, the way they're playing. They're competitive. There's a little bit of flair as well. There are signs, but it's still going to be a little bit of time maybe. We're hoping to turn it around as quickly as we can. We'd love to win the last 8 games. But I'm really enjoying not only the players but the staff and the club here, just being a part of it. So I'd love to see it out.
So when you say see it out, are you saying you wouldn't be in the running for that?
No, I'm really happy with where I'm at now with Adelaide.
Brisbane's had a bit of an interrupted week. This morning. Does it give you any advantage, kind of being set here in Adelaide, going through the motions as you usually do, while they've had to kind of fly in and out and mini quarantine, that kind of thing?
I think if this was this time last year, maybe, I think clubs are getting a lot more prepared and ready for anything that's thrown their way. I mean, I think it was down in Melbourne, wasn't it, where Geelong just got them at the end of that game, and they stayed down there, and they probably turned their season around a little bit by being in a hub and winning the next couple of games after that. So they're a senior team, top 2, top 4 team that will be making sure that they come over here to win this game of footy. So in some ways, maybe going a couple of days earlier helps them a little bit, rather than coming from Brisbane day of a game.
Scott, I have no coaching, not to drag you into that, but just to hear guys like Pendlebury and other coaches you've worked with as well, to give you sort of praise to say you'd be a wonderful head coach, your work as an assistant has been highly rated across the club. Does that give you a bit of a boost if you were to look for a senior role at some point?
I don't think it makes any difference to those that are appointing the senior coach.
Is
No, not really. It's probably, oh, well, it does, of course it does, because you want to make sure you're doing your job properly, but yeah, they're not ones that make decisions on it. So.
Just a quick one on the whole hub situation. Adelaide, you obviously the only ones that left now going into hub. You experienced it last year.
Yeah.
Whilst the clubs may be used to it, surely there's an advantage of being able to stay here and do what you do.
We probably thought that last year, and then Richmond and Geelong play in the grand final as well. You know, so it's just, I'm not sure. Some teams really enjoy the time together. Others may battle a little bit, and I couldn't tell you which teams they are. But I think it's important if we can. Obviously, they're in Melbourne at the moment. We've just got to try and keep Tassie and SA open as much as possible, just for grounds, to play games. So I've got no idea what the AFL are doing. Everything will change, but we could get to the scenario maybe like we did last year, where there's two different teams, not Port Adelaide or Adelaide playing at Adelaide Oval.
As a coach, have you been told anything at all in terms of be prepared?
Yeah, we're always told to be prepared, but no, I just got told then about the Perth teams going to Melbourne. So yeah, sometimes it's not till we get home and we see the news we know what's going on, because we're so I guess engrossed in what we're doing here with our club and our meetings and reviews with players that it catches you off guard a little bit.
Once you have seen it out, would senior coaching be back on your agenda down the road?
Yeah, it's a classic question. Everyone will say, no one will ever say no to anything, but like I did say, and take me at face value, I'm loving my role here at the Adelaide Footy Club at the moment, so really enjoying it. There's a lot of things here for me, family-wise as well, so I love being in Adelaide and love being at the Footy Club. So
Great. Thank you,
Just,
guys.
thank you.
No worries, thanks.
Appreciate it.